Hey, this is DemonDriver here, and we are going to add the blue stripe, the Mohican blue stripe, to the top of the L-1011 fuselage. Here is the L-1011. This is the model that I use for sanding, but from the tip of the rear of the fuselage all the way right to the top of the flight deck, windscreen or windshield, is the blue Mohican All Nippon Airways stripe from the early 70s to late 70s All Nippon Airways paint scheme that was on all of their aircraft, from the YMC turboprop all the way to the 747 SR. And we're going to add, this is the blue, this is that Mohican blue, and this is going to be a top here. This is Monokote. And this is ultracote up here, Monokote. Monokote is great on plastic. Monokote is great on plastic and foam. Ultracote is great on foam, straight, foam and plastic. So, first thing what we do is we want to, as a matter of fact, let me get you guys a little bit closer to the action here. Let me get you closer to the birds. So there's the 500. That's going to be a Pan Am L-1011 500. That's a smaller version of this. So let me try and... Here's the spike. Here's the L-1011 500 spike. This is balsa wood. Now I'm going to mold the 500. The 500 is going to be molded. The nose section and the tail section, and that's going to be offered as a kit. Next year at some point I want to offer an L-1011 kit. So that'll be available to you guys to buy for around $500 or so, and you can buy yourself a L-1011 kit. It'll have a fuselage tube, wings cut out Depron, nose section, fiberglass, fiberglass tail section, the whole plane basically, even the engine cowls. Or you can buy the plane piecemeal. You can buy it. There'll be three versions. You have a completed plane, which is about $1,200-$1,300, or the kit for about $500, and then you could just buy it piecemeal, piece by piece if you want. So okay, let's start here. Let me show you how I begin the process. Let me just set up this stupid ass camera so I can show you what's going on. Okay. Alright, here's what I do. Get yourself a ruler, okay? And you want to mark off where the center section of the fuselage is, the top center section of the L-1011 fuselage, in order to give yourself a perfectly straight stripe down the center of the top of the fuselage to make the Mohican All Nippon Airways stripe. So what we do is we mark very gently with a pen top, and I would say that the Mohican stripe runs back like this and straddles the lower portion of the beginning of the L-1011's number 2 engine air intake and rides back. It comes across in a straight line and then rides the fuselage down in a straight line. So make sure you have a bendable ruler or a tape measure that you use for clothing, and 2.5 inches in each direction. You make your mark. Alright. And then what you do is you run down to the nose section. Let me get ourselves situated here. And yes, I live in a RC insane asylum, so this place is just a mess. I've got parts and tools all over the place. Anybody living in Japan right now watching this is probably like, my God, that guy's a slob. No Japanese woman would tolerate that, but so be it. It was getting so crazy, my girlfriend basically moved out. She just said, "The hell with this, I'm out of here." So until we get a house, we're really not going to be living together. So hopefully I'm going to be getting a house soon so I can do all this in a big 2-car garage. And that's really what I want to do. And for those of you on the MD-80 thread, don't worry, I still have that garage. I just haven't had a chance to get over there. I'm working the 707 and getting that thing in the air, and I just had to put that aside for a week or two, but don't worry. So you do the same thing that you did in the back, you do in the front. You make sure you find your center top of the tube portion of the section, the fuselage, before it starts to cone inward for the nose section. You mark it, right? And then you do the same exact thing that you did in the rear. You simply bend your ruler and you mark 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches, and that's where the straight portion of the Mohican stripe runs. Okay? It runs to this point, of course, and then it starts to taper in and comes to a point right there. Okay? So, I have my lines marked. Wait a minute. I'm going to mark my lines here. I'm like, yeah, I got my lines marked and they're not marked. Okay, hang on. Hang on. Oh. Gotta get my pen working. Me and pens never have good luck. Hang on here. Alright, that mark is there. 2.5 inches. Gotta get it right. Hang on. There we go. 2.5 inches. There we are. Okay, I got my stripe mark. So now, I'm going to go cut the Mohican blue and start to put this stripe on. And you guys are going to watch and see how it's done, so that when you guys have time and you want to build an airliner and learn how to, you know, put your Monokote down, this is how you do it. Alright guys, next we're going to start applying the actual Depron. The Monokote, excuse me. Alright, this is DemonDriver here. Now let's get down to applying the blue stripe. Now, what I did was I pre-cut, you saw that roll of Monokote. Well, I went and cut out some strips of the Monokote. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start applying it, and I'm going to go from the outside of the stripe inwards. So I'm going to lay the border of it, and then I'm going to start to go in as I do it, if that makes any sense. And cutting off the little plastic tabs on the Monokote with a simple scissor. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure that my surface is clean. No hairs or anything. Because any kind of crap is going to bubble up and it's going to show up. So, and also on the Monokote. And I want to choose the perfectly straight edge to have the edge that is the border of the stripe. Okay. Okay. Alright, now what I'm doing is I'm using my eye to make sure that the line is straight, or that I can eyeball it and make sure the stripe is straight. Because if it isn't, it's going to really look crappy on the plane, because the eye picks up imperfections. The eye can see imperfections, and that's exactly where I want it. I take my Monokote iron, like so, and unfortunately, this particular one doesn't have very good long cord, so I'm going to have to stick it into this one over here, and I'm probably still not going to have long enough of a cord, so bear with me here, folks. Yeah, it'll work. Okay, very gently, I start from the center, and there we are. Back and forth, always moving, contouring the shape. Contouring the shape. Always moving. Using my finger to make sure that the stripe stays straight. Always moving. There we have it. Same thing, moving forward, using my hand to kind of guide it. Back and forth, very gently. There we are. Alright, that's the first portion of the Mohican stripe on the All Nippon Airways L-1011. Okay. Now we're going to do the rest of the forward section of the bottom half of the stripe. Take out one of my strips here, pre-cut. Run my hand down it to make sure that nothing is let me see what kind of angle you guys have here. Let me see if I can get you guys a little bit closer into the action as I do this. Because I want you to see the whole procedure. I want you to see everything. I want you to see everything, man. I don't want anything to be hidden. No conspiracies, man. Okay. I've got to get a decent tripod. Okay. Get you a little bit closer into the action. Okay. Now I'm peeling off the protective plastic from the Monokote. Just throw it over there. What the hell? With a scissor, I cut the tabs, the little plastic runoff tabs on the Monokote. Ultracote doesn't have that, just Monokote. Like that. Now I eyeball it again. Aha! And this runs a little bit long past the point where I want it to start to bend down. So at this point I'm going to cut it right about here. I'm going to cut it right here. There we are. There we are. Perfect. Right there. Make sure that I have a straight angle, straight edge. Yep, that's what I want. I'll lay it down on the other stripe. So right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to line them up. I'm trying to line this stripe up so it's perfect. Or as damn near perfect as I can get it. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay. There we go. From the center. Make sure there's no hair or debris in the way, and we begin. There we are, back and forth in a rocking motion, always moving, never sit it and then let it rest. Always keep your iron moving on your Monokote or ultracote. If you don't, you're going to get bubbling. And that's where the Monokote melts and it bubbles. You get an air pocket underneath, which you can pop with a needle. It's not the end of the world, but you want to prevent it from happening in the first place. So back and forth, back and forth. There we are. Cool. I'm liking that. Okay. Now we can start to add more of the stripe. That's pretty good. Okay. And we'll do what we did before. Well, first I'm going to peel away. See, on Monokote, you have this plastic protected crap. You're going to take it off. The same thing with ultracote, but it's more of a paper. Alright, let me get you guys in a little bit closer. There we go. There we are. That's good. That's a good vantage point. It's a good vantage point to see the action here. Cut that away. And again, we want to inspect the Monokote strip to make sure there's no debris on it, hair, or any kind of crap on there that we don't want to show up. And there we are. We just gently place it where we want to place it, like so. Iron, and like I said, start from the center, very gently, back and forth, riding the contour of the L-1011's fuselage. Back and forth, with your hand you pull the Monokote back a little bit, and you want to avoid Okay, that went pretty well. So you cut your length that you want your piece to be before you really commit yourself to doing it. You want to eyeball everything and make sure you got it right. Okay. And then we pull away our protective piece, cut away the excess tab, and we lay it down. We lay it down where we want it to go. Make sure there's no debris. we are. You keep laying it down until you get it really exactly the way you want it positioned. That's perfect. Perfect. Alright, get our iron with a sock on. Always have a sock on the big iron. Always have a sock on your big iron. Very important. You got a big iron, you got a small iron. Back and forth. Constantly moving. You don't have to apply pressure. You just keep it moving. The weight of the iron will suffice. Pick that up a little bit. Work out the... You can anticipate little bubbles forming, and you can lift up the Monokote and make sure it doesn't happen. Like that. And if little bubbles do form, you can pop them. You can pop them with needles. It's not the end of the world. It happens. You know, it's just something that happens. Okay, now we're adding the final touches to the forward section of the stripe, of the Mohican stripe. I've cut out smaller little strips so I can get more detailed the further I move in here. This is kind of the hard part, because I want to make sure that it comes down exactly the way the real one does. This is not exactly easy. This is where things get tough. So I'm eyeballing the stripe, and I'm making sure that it's symmetrical, that it's not crooked as it narrows down into the, into this pinpoint. And I got my small, this is my small iron, my small Monokote iron, and there we go. And you always got to run it, always keep it in motion. That way you're not going to run into trouble. If you keep it, if you keep it in one spot, it's gonna melt the Monokote. You don't want that to happen. That's not good. Alright, so let's keep following the contour here. So what I've seen is it goes like that, and then it goes back. So I'm gonna start up here again. And bring it down. Okay, that's what I want. Now I'm trying to line it up with the outer line of the and like I said, I gotta line it up. So you just can't throw it on there because it has to everything has to line up, and if it doesn't, it's not gonna look right. Now, when All Nippon Airways got their L-1011s, they had them painted by Lockheed at the factory, and they were in a painting booth, and they taped the planes down and were able to apply the paint. But here, I really don't have that luxury, so I kind of have to lay down the Monokote in just the right area to get it to where I want it to be. Not easy, my friends, not easy. Okay. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Okay, what happens with the stripe is it kind of bows out a little bit, and then it's not exactly straight all the way in. It kind of bows inward. Anybody who knows the ANA L-1011 knows that. Especially people, Japanese airliner buffs, they know that. I'm not saying anything new to you guys. You already know exactly what I'm talking about. So I gotta get that right. If I don't get that right, it's not gonna look right. Come on, you mother. Alright, that's pretty close. And you don't want, see, you don't want to move the Monokote when you're doing that, so you gotta be real careful. See, sometimes it just doesn't want to stick all the way. There we go. Okay, now we're gonna do this. I'm gonna do that part right there. Okay. So, how I'm gonna do that? I'm gonna narrow that out. Bam. Put this in here like that. And cut it right there. Cut that there. Place that. Okay, that's what I want. Okay. All right. Okay, gotta cut that little tab off there because it runs off a little bit. Perfect, look at that. Oh yeah, baby. Ah, man. It moved on me. That can happen sometimes. You gotta be real careful. Sometimes the Monokote will move on you, and it can be a bitch to get it back straight again. See what I mean? I had it, man. I had it right where I wanted it. Come on, line back up. That's good enough. There we go. That'll do. That'll do for now. I can clean it up later. Now I'm going to fill in these the little gaps there. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to cut the Monokote to length by eyeballing it. Cut off pieces, here we go. Cut off my pieces. Lay them on a cold part of the fuselage that is not hot, because on the hot part, and especially lay it upside down that the glue side is out, so that you can't accidentally get the glue to adhere and then you're really in trouble. See, sometimes this glue really likes to stick. There we go, okay. See, I'm running down the stripe, always moving, always in motion. Well, there you have it. There is the ANA All Nippon Airways stripe, Mohican L-1011 stripe. That's just the beginning portion. Of course, it'll run back to the tail, cover the whole tail, and it'll get that done. And that's how you do that. Well, it's a DemonDriver, and good luck with your modeling and your building. Keep on building, don't give up, don't stop. And more MD-80 stuff coming up, A300 stuff, and I'm going to get these L-1011s done soon and get them flying. Alright guys, God bless, take care, bye-bye.